Thank you to Snow for supporting me on Patreon. More on that later in the video. Hey peeps, this is Kizu. Welcome back to PDB Deep Dives. If you don't know what this is a series where I do a full video essay on all content added in the beta build of DBD. There are subtitles and chapter markers, so if you're here just for a breakdown of FNAF, feel free to skip right to that point. Without further ado, let's get into it. The design team at PHVR intended to make Springtrap a grab-based killer to hone in the jump scare factor, while not being a stealth killer. Instead, they seemingly produced a Frankenstein mess of killer powers, copying a variety of things from other killers. His terror radius is 24 meters by default, and his starting movement speed is 4.4 meters a second. He has an M1 and M2 attack, with M2 attack being this crazy axe throw. On a miss, it lodges itself in the environment, giving Killer Instinct AoE for a few seconds. On Survivor hit, it'll lodge in them instead, and you'll speed up to 4.6 meters a second. You can eventually call it back, but instead of just getting back, you can pick it up along with a Survivor when you're in M1 range. His axe throw is essentially a super heavy Hunter's Hutch. While it's lodged in the Survivor, you can see the aura of it in the Survivor through the walls, essentially acting as free wall hacks. Springtrap also spawns a new sub-realm that transforms the trial grounds. There's a bunch of cameras and security doors that spawn in the trials. The doors transport you in the office, through which on a limited battery you'll be able to traverse Survivor or try to find Springtrap in a room with a camera. Springtrap can disable doors or cameras with his axe, and of course always use the office travel and interrupt Survivors if the two meet while traveling in the office. He isn't affected by a power outage and becomes undetectable after exiting from a door. Essentially, he is a downgraded Huntress in terms of lethality and skill expression, with his only interesting move being an impractical orbital over a wall. Besides that, he trades Coker lethality for sustainability and stealth. It's genuinely really weird, because according to PHVR, this is their most ambitious chapter yet, and despite that, he is just a mismatch of killers. Hunter's Hatchet, combined with Xenomorph's Tunnels that are expanded to Survivors, Myers-like kill, but instead it's a grab, and even the axe is latching the Survivor just like Victor. The only unique part about him are aesthetics and the cameras. I'll let you be the judge of how well executed they are, but I am terribly underwhelmed by the voice lines and the Mori as well. This release feels rushed out. Like they had time to make the office and some animations, but that's the only part that genuinely is really good about the power. As far as we know, the creator of FNAF was heavily involved in making the power, so I imagine it could be due to his interference. This design is about as nonsensical as the plot of his games. Springtrap is fine as a killer design, he's just disappointing and not at all ambitious. Of course, a new killer means new killer perks. In classical PHR fashion, these are kinda terrible. Help wanted, damage generated to compromise it. Once completed, your successful M1s are 25% faster for 60 seconds. This is essentially stupeful machine learning, not very exciting. Can be initially usable perk in some combos. Phantom Fear, when a survivor in the terror radius looks at you, they scream and show their aura for 2 seconds. This perk has a 60-second cooldown. In theory, when paired with Lethal Pursuer, this should be an effective enough perk. Currently it seems a bit buggy and unreliable, but this one could become a bit oppressive on higher jail killers. Haywire. X-Gate switches regress to 50% progress at half speed when unattended. Haywire is genuinely terrible design. Not only does it slowly regress, but it also doesn't regress fully. 99 X-Gates is rare and more often benefits, not hurts killers. Unless you're running an endgame remembering build, this is worthless. And it might become obnoxiously painful for remembering though. Bad design. The movie version of the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has now been brought into the fog as a brand new map, curiously not in a new realm. It shares the realm with Sable's map, the Greenwell Square, but nevertheless, it's a clear love letter to the franchise, as any licensed map is from BHVR. Artistically, it's probably the most inter-detailed dense DBD map. Its size is average, and so are its loops. Killers won't struggle much, and survivors might struggle a bit. It's filled with Easter eggs for people looking, but in terms of gameplay, it's nothing new. Perfectly average. The DBD team a few months ago announced the Quality of Life initiative for DBD, and this PDB rounds out the first phase of it. Therefore, what better way to cover all the additions than to rapid-fire round up all the things added to this PDB. First up, for years, map offerings have been the decried feature of DBD. They were a nigh unguaranteed way to send yourself to a certain realm, with survivor squads having the ability to even deny a sack ward, cancelling the offerings. Now, map offerings will instead slightly increase the chance to go to a realm instead of being 100%, and they also no longer stack. The one offsetting feature here is that all map modifier offerings are now going to be secret until you load into the trial, so people won't touch map offerings nearly as much. Continuing with maps, spawn rules have been long lauded as a huge issue for DBD. Survivor spawning pre-spread out is a huge benefit for them and a huge pain for killers. Infamously, the 4-way Ormond split basically ensured you had a gen pop unless you're playing someone like Polite. Now, survivors will always spawn together by default. We're also getting the current spawn rule offerings changed, as they never made sense of a role, as as killers could spawn survivors spread out, which is a survivor buff, and survivors could spawn themselves together, which is a survivor nerf. I'm surprised we don't just get both options for both roles, but this is nonetheless a good change for the game to make the experience more consistent. Speaking of consistent experiences, console players may now cease their complaints about reshade. After a short 9-year development cycle, DBD's added a gamma slider. You'll be able to make DBD really dark or really bright without any external fiddling. Finally, leaving everyone but the staunchest 2018 survivor mains content with the look of better games. Survivor mains will also be more content with this one. The AFK system has been updated. It's going to be less lenient than before and give you crows faster, and once you have 3 crows, you'll lose collision. Being held hostage by a teammate or killer is now a thing of the past, as BHVR has, after over half a decade, implemented a simple feature long suggested. Of course, in typical DBD fashion, the system seems way too aggressive now. It'll give you crows for scratching your nose for a few seconds, and I often saw bots get AFK crows in my games. Another simple feature to speed up your experiences is now that when you have a survivor laying on the ground and the only other survivor is on second hook, you'll be able to immediately perform a finish your Mori. While there are some theoretical edge cases that might rob you of a survivor play, generally this will just speed up the game ending for everyone. I'd honestly expand this to also being applied if everyone else is hooked at this point, as 4% self on hooks are mostly completely gone now anyway. Might as well speed the end up. Speeding the end up, finally you can just spend blood points in bulk. In just one simple prompt, you'll be able to dump millions of your hard-earned BPs into a given character. A feature long overdue will finally leave me and people like Ozava from running an auto-clicker program to level up low-ups for dozens of minutes at a time. Custom matches also receive a small slew of improvements. You can have 5 spectators now, and will have hotkeys to switch to a specific player immediately. Besides that, there are supposed to be more improvements in future updates. Finally, to ensure that survivors are forced to stay in games regardless of their enjoyment of the match, BHVR has taken a sledgehammer to the game. It's genuinely bewildering. Firstly, you cannot adapt on Hulk anymore unless you have a luck offering or a perk or are the second remaining survivor. 4% are gone, so rapid 4-player Hulk games just became much better, as last stage survivor comebacks are now removed, mostly. You also can't give up as fast on Hulk to give the last player hatch, as you don't automatically die after missing 2 struggle skill checks. Secondly, should the Nebulous BHVR system believe you're giving up at the start of the match, you'll get a DC penalty. It's completely opaque, so if you lose too fast, penalty. Go for a luck build and fail, then miss a skill check once and down hook, penalty. Sneeze wrong, penalty. Thirdly, DC penalties are now reworked. They are now based on your last 20 matches. For every match you don't get one, you lose a point of penalties. For every match you DC, you get one, obviously. Previously, you lost a point of penalties for each day that passed since your last disconnect. This is the one benefit of the system. I am heavily against the disconnection penalty parts of the system. It's janky and I do not trust BHVR with this. However, I think most of the system is fine with tweaks. I think you should be allowed 4% attempt regardless, and all attempts if multiple people are hooked. You should also have the option to give up struggle if you're the second remaining survivor. Band-aids are janky and won't solve any real problems present with giving up right now. The quality of life initiative phase 1 is over with this. Big mixed bag. Minor additions have been great. Anything more complex than BHVR fumbles fixation dramatically. We'll have to see what changes come from BDB, but so far, decently disappointed and very concerned with Phase 2 with its insanely complex system proposals. Village and the Artist both received a bunch of slight adjustments. Village has received a medium-sized update, the highlights including all spells being available at the start of a trial, cooldowns being reduced, the spelling sphere now being on a speed curve where it moves rapidly at the start, slows down over time. The cooldown after using Fly before you can attack is increased, Fly has had its speed and duration increased to compensate, Mage has been updated to be more consistent to cause less frustrations, leaving survivors something to chew on, magic items are now also more powerful to make them more valuable, and there are some other notable add-on adjustments to him, but they're not that deep. He's a bit more well-rounded now and is mostly remaining about the same place balance-wise he was. The effects of this are mostly a non-starter, and people who are thrilled to play him will still be, and people who aren't still won't. Artist has also seen add-on changes, primarily increased variety in the add-on picks, making top picks less appealing and rare picks more so. It's not particularly interesting, but it's good to see variety being encouraged. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It'll help the channel. Anyway, BHVR is continuing with her philosophy of buffing underutilized and terrible perks, with all perk updates this patch being simple buffs. QOL Initiative had its duration increased by 10 seconds from 60, and the generated aggression bonus got increased to 150% instead of 125. QOL was previously obliterated, this makes it a useful-ish quasi-info, quasi-slowdown. Fine change by me. Thrilling Tremors half the cooldown from the previous 60 seconds. Thrilling Tremors always had an unreasonable cooldown for its effect. It's now going to be much more effective. Spear Anatomy increases activation radius to 12 meters from 8, decreased the cooldown to 25 seconds from 30, and Spear Anatomy was always a very fun but unreliable vault perk before. Now it's going to be extremely solid and give a Boozle a run for its money. Dark Devotion increased the duration of a terror radius transfer to 45 seconds, was 30 seconds, increased the size of transfer terror radius to 40 meters, was 32 meters, Dark Devotion is going to be even more effective than what he plays now. Hex Distribution increased Oblivion's duration on totem interactions to 60 seconds, was 45 seconds, increased Survivor or Reveal duration to 20 seconds, was 15 seconds. Retribution isn't that fantastic with Perk, but it's going to be more useful Perk now. Machine Learning decreased haste value to 8%, was 10%, increased duration to 60 seconds, was 40 seconds. Machine Learning got a buff it didn't need. People slapped on this perk. It's already overtuned, but now even more so. Terminalist increased broken duration to 45 seconds, was 30 seconds. Terminalist lasting for a bonus 15 seconds, won't change weather patterns. The one players might be happy though. Whack increased the reveal area to 36 meters, was 24 meters. Increased survival or reveal to 6 seconds, was 5 seconds. Whack now might be a genuinely cute info perk. 36 meter reveal radius is nothing to sneeze at, especially on maps with breakable walls. Just like killer perks, all of the survivor perks updates are just buffs to the more niche perks. Body knowledge, healing item efficiency reduction removed, was 20%. Body now is finally going to be a viable medkit pick. God bless, no complaints here. Might be wise to reduce speed bonus to 40% though. Champion of Light decreased cooldown to 40 seconds, was 60 seconds. Champion of Light's active effect is not that huge. Triggering it more often is neat. Light-footed decreased cooldown to 10 seconds, was 20 seconds. The fact that this perk has a cooldown at all on top of its activation condition is insane. Still mostly useless. Desperate Measures increased scaling bonus speed to healing/unhooking to 20%, was 14%. Desperate Measures was already a sleeper perk, but now it's a no-brainer team recovery perk. Exaltation increased the item recharge for stunning a killer bound to 75%, was 25%, and decreased the cooldown to 20 seconds from 30 seconds. Exaltation used to be relegated to keys and flashlights, but now, especially with new botany, it might be viable to run a self-heal build with this perk and a medkit. Candle Force increased stackable totem cleansing speed bonus to 25%, was 20%, increased totem aura reveal duration to 14 seconds, was 4 seconds. Candle Force is an actual force in totems. You'll have time to see the totems and spend less time cleansing. This really power creep small game. Oh wow. Empathic in action. Injure survivors don't see your aura anywhere on the map, was 96 meters. Increased altruistic healing bonus to 35%, was 30. Empathic remains a niche solo queue perk, but this might help it be a bit more relevant on bigger maps. Tiny healing bonus increase is also not super noteworthy. And that's almost it for the PDB deep dive. If you skip here for the summary, I'll start in a second. Firstly, I would like to thank my Steam Patreons, Snow and Sojus. They get exclusive Discord roles, shoutouts at the end, and depending on the tier to the start as well, there's also BTS content updates and exclusive content in the booth. This content is tricky to make. If you'd like to see more high quality analysis like this, consider subscribing. I'm also trying something a bit different with Summaries for SPD. I split into 3 sections for the new content, balance changes, and pertaining to the Quality of Life Initiative. Tell me if you like it, peeps. Without further ado. Springtrap is a fine average killer. His power is not really unique, recycling most elements from other killers. He doesn't have a lot to him and doesn't bring much new to the table. Terrible shame to under-deliver on such a horror icon. Help Wanted is not a terribly exciting addition that might slot into a build or two. Phantom Fear is a relatively high potential info perk that is janky. Haywire is a pretty terrible design but will either be useless or obnoxious. The new map, while visually interesting and dense, is nothing to write home about. It's not that offensive, so thank God for that. The new content added for this most hype in the history anniversary chapter is disappointingly recycled. It's very similar to what we already have in the game, and there's almost nothing that unique or curious. Absolutely unbelievable, but after all this time putting together a truly interesting power for Springtrap, or at least his perks, or at least some unique gameplay map, or something. Disappoint. A Village and the Artist both receive adjustments that keep them about the same. It's mostly just running out of edges and encouraging variety, which is good in my book. Killer perks received a nice variety of buffs, which are almost all appreciated. Machine Learning needs to get nerfed. It's been overtuned and a sleeper pick for a while. Mostly good changes. Survivor perks follow much the same, a nice variety of buffs. Light-footed is still too weak. Body knowledge could do the minor speed reduction. Mostly good overall. Map offering rework is fine and non-offensive. Spawn rule and offering update is mostly great, no complaints. AFK system update is fine, but undercooked and too aggressive. Governance prevention is mostly terribly executed and needs major changes. Gamma slider is a long overdue base 212 feature. Mori's being available sooner is good. Custom spectators update are great. Blood Bowl bulk spending is fantastic. The less complex the system is, the better pitch you are to it. AFK has issues, Governance is a disaster. The implementations besides that are fine to great. Genuinely horrified for Phase 2's major systems. A 900 PDB anniversary chapter overpromises and underdelivers. Ambition is lacking severely in the new content. BHR seems way over their head with the Quality of Life Initiative. At least the balance philosophy seems mostly better. It's definitely going to be a rough patch for DBD. And with that uncertainty, we've come to a close. Tell me your thoughts on the PDB and video in the comments, peeps. Until the next video, which will be sooner than you think, I bid you adieu.
Well, would you look at that? A fun killer design. I'm sure the HBR will change it down the line. This is an update of the lowest percentile. Can anyone on the map team tell me what the fuck is this tile? Once again, a change by us all unrequested. This did not turn out how a dev note suggested. Anyone involved in this design should be arrested. Here's the deep dive. I'm losing my shit! In what world is that a fucking it? Alright, no, that's it. I quit!